Every year, the United States produces more than 400,000 tons of button mushrooms. But what you see on supermarket shelves is only the surface of the story. Behind closed doors, in complete darkness, an invisible system runs 24/7. A system where a single mushroom can be transformed into multiple products and where nothing goes to waste. By the end of this video, you'll see how a soft, easily bruised mushroom is turned into a crispy snack using industrial technology, robotics, and a processing line very few people have ever seen. This is the real journey of the button mushroom inside the factory. After days spent in total darkness, once the growing medium has been fully taken over by mushroom mycelium, the facility changes its strategy. Temperature drops, humidity rises, air circulation increases. For the first time, soft controlled light appears. To the mycelium, this is a clear signal. It's time to reproduce. On the surface of the growing beds, tiny white dots begin to appear. They're so small they're easy to miss unless you know exactly what to look for. In mushroom farming, these structures are called pinheads, the earliest stage of mushroom formation. This is the most critical moment in the entire biological cycle. If conditions fluctuate, the pinheads disappear. If humidity isn't precise, they fail to develop. And if the timing is off, an entire crop can be lost. But when everything is controlled correctly, the transformation is rapid, almost shocking. Within just a few days, those tiny dots begin to rise, separating from the growing surface and becoming fully formed mushrooms. Unlike traditional crops, mushrooms don't rely on sunlight for photosynthesis. Instead, they draw energy stored in the mycelium weeks earlier. That's why mushrooms grow so fast. Some can double in size overnight. From fragile beginnings, thousands of mushrooms emerge at once, covering the growing trays. Caps expand, stems thicken. The entire room changes in a matter of days. When the mushrooms reach their ideal size, the facility is ready for the next phase. Harvest, where humans and machines step into the process together. Harvesting is the stage where earlier silence gives way to a steady, highly controlled rhythm. Inside the growing rooms, workers move between tall shelving rows where thousands of mushrooms are ready to be picked. In hand-harvested areas, every movement is slow but decisive. A worker gently grips the base, gives a slight twist, and lifts the mushroom from the growing bed in a single motion. No knives, no force. One wrong touch can bruise the cap or damage nearby mushrooms. This method depends on experience. Seasoned workers can tell at a glance which mushrooms are ready and which can wait a few more hours. In large operations, a single worker may harvest thousands of mushrooms per shift, not through speed, but through practiced precision. Each mushroom is placed carefully into ventilated trays, arranged to avoid contact and pressure. The trays are then removed from the growing room, making space for the next flush. A single growing bed can produce multiple harvests when handled correctly. But not all mushrooms are harvested this way. In other areas of the facility, machines take on the heavy workload. Semi-automated and fully automated harvesting systems are designed to handle large volumes in short periods of time. Conveyors move continuously, carrying mushrooms out of the growing area at a pace no human crew could match. The contrast is clear. Hand harvesting feels precise and almost artisanal. Machine harvesting reflects scale and industrial power. Thousands of mushrooms move at once, lifted from the growing beds, transferred onto conveyors, and sent directly into the next processing stage. Regardless of the method, the goal remains the same: to preserve the shape, freshness, and quality of every single mushroom. That's not easy. Button mushrooms are soft, bruise easily, and are highly sensitive to pressure. For that reason, machines are finely calibrated, from conveyor speed to the exact force applied to each mushroom. Every parameter is calculated to ensure the mushrooms remain undamaged before moving on. Between hand harvesting and machine harvesting, neither replaces the other. They complement each other. Humans handle areas that require judgment and flexibility. Machines manage volume, speed, and consistency. This balance is what allows the facility to run continuously, meeting massive demand while maintaining uniform quality. On the production line, each mushroom moves forward at a controlled, steady pace. Above it, high-resolution cameras capture images continuously. To the human eye, they all look nearly identical. But to the system, every mushroom is a data set: color, size, shape, surface texture. Every detail is analyzed instantly. Artificial intelligence compares this data against pre-programmed standards. In just milliseconds, a decision is made, meets the standard, or doesn't. If a mushroom shows signs of bruising, contamination, or any irregularity, a signal is sent immediately. A robotic arm responds almost at the same moment, removing that mushroom from the line with pinpoint precision. The entire process happens so fast, it's nearly impossible to follow with the naked eye. This doesn't just increase speed, it guarantees consistency. In large-scale production, uniformity is critical. Millions of mushrooms must meet the same standard, no matter what time of day they were harvested. Once mushrooms pass this inspection, they're confirmed to be safe, consistent, and ready for what comes next. From this point forward, they're no longer treated as raw agricultural products, but as inputs for a more complex processing system. Sorting happens continuously. Some mushrooms are nearly flawless: round caps, firm stems, ideal appearance. Others are smaller, slightly misshapen, or simply don't meet the visual standards of the fresh market. But here, there's no concept of good or bad. There's only one question: what is this mushroom best suited for? The highest grade mushrooms are directed toward fresh retail. Others are routed to deeper processing lines. Each decision is fast, precise, and entirely data-driven. What matters most is this: no mushroom is discarded just because it isn't perfect. The facility doesn't eliminate differences, it uses them. At this scale, efficiency doesn't come from selecting only the best-looking products. It comes from using everything in the right way. Each mushroom is guided down a different path, where its shape, size, and structure become an advantage, not a limitation. This is the moment the process fundamentally changes. It's no longer just about biology or harvesting. It becomes a story of transformation, value creation, and smart decision-making. On the processing line, mushrooms are gently cleaned to remove any remaining debris from harvest. Water pressure is carefully controlled, strong enough to clean the surface, but light enough to protect the mushroom's naturally soft structure. Here, shape matters. Size, cap roundness, stem length, everything is standardized. Mushrooms that meet these visual and structural requirements are kept whole, ready to be sold as fresh mushrooms. Another portion is directed to the slicing line. Sharp, precisely calibrated blades create mushroom slices with nearly identical thickness. This isn't just about appearance, it ensures even cooking, something consumers expect every time they open a package. At an industrial scale, consistency is everything. Every tray must look like the one before it. Every slice must feel familiar, no matter where it's purchased. But whether whole or sliced, these products share one key trait. They're made for the present. They have a short shelf life, depend on a reliable cold chain, and require fast distribution. And that's exactly why not all mushrooms take this path. Just beyond the fresh mushroom line, the facility has already prepared another route, one where time is extended and scale expands even further. Not every mushroom is meant to be sold within days. At a national and even global scale, the industry needs a way to keep mushrooms fresh longer, more stable, and easier to transport. That's where the freezing line comes in. Mushrooms selected for this route don't need perfect appearance. Instead, they need strong structure, high freshness, and the ability to retain quality after processing. Before freezing, they're cleaned and quickly pre-treated to stabilize their internal structure. Then, everything happens fast. The mushrooms enter a rapid freezing system. Temperatures drop sharply in a very short time, fast enough that ice crystals don't have time to damage cell walls. The result is that when thawed, the mushrooms maintain their shape, flavor, and firmness. At this stage, it's no longer about individual mushrooms, but about thousands, tens of thousands, moving through the system every hour. The line runs continuously, precisely, with almost no downtime. Frozen mushrooms unlock an entirely different set of possibilities. They can be stored for months. They can be shipped long distances. They can supply restaurants, industrial kitchens, airline meals, and ready-to-eat products. Here, mushrooms are no longer constrained by the short lifespan of fresh produce. They become a flexible, dependable ingredient, ready to meet large-scale, consistent demand. In their natural state, mushrooms are mostly water. That's what makes them soft, fresh, and highly perishable. The lifespan of fresh mushrooms is measured in days, but inside the factory, time can be extended in a very different way. That's where the drying line comes in. Mushrooms selected for this stage don't need to look perfect. What matters more is their internal structure and flavor. As water is gradually removed, the mushroom doesn't lose its value. Instead, everything becomes concentrated. Drying is a slow, precisely controlled process. Too much heat destroys aroma. Too little heat stretches the process and reduces efficiency. Every parameter is carefully adjusted to find the balance point, where moisture leaves, but the mushroom's signature flavor remains. As the water goes away, time stays behind. Dried mushrooms can be stored for months, sometimes years. They're lighter, easier to transport, and far more flexible in use. add water, and they return close to their original form. But the flavor comes back deeper and more intense than before. At this stage, mushrooms are no longer just fresh produce. They become a strategic ingredient. Dried mushrooms are used in soups, sauces, seasonings, and in products most consumers never think about. What matters is this: the process creates no waste. Mushrooms that don't fit the fresh market find a new role, one where appearance no longer matters. But for the facility, drying isn't the final stop, because once the water is gone, another possibility opens up: the ability to completely change how mushrooms are experienced when eaten. And that's when the mushroom's journey enters its most dramatic transformation yet. On another production line, carefully selected mushrooms are sliced thin, spread evenly, and sent into a deeper stage of processing. This is where mushrooms begin to completely change their nature. Temperature, time, and airflow are tightly controlled. Moisture is almost entirely removed. The soft texture fades away. What replaces it is crunch. Thin mushroom slices slowly shrink, becoming lighter, drier, and firmer. When processed correctly, they don't burn or crumble. They hold their shape. Seasoning is added at the precise moment, enough to coat evenly, but never enough to overpower the mushroom's natural flavor. This is no longer a mushroom meant for sautéing or soup. This is a snack. From a highly perishable agricultural product, mushrooms are transformed into something that fits neatly inside a small bag, ready to be carried, opened, and eaten on the spot. No cooking, no preparation, just tear it open. At the factory level, mushroom snacks represent the highest degree of transformation. Biology, technology, and consumer preference all converge here. Every crispy slice is the result of countless precise decisions made upstream. And at this point, the loop is closed. The parts of mushrooms that don't become fresh products, frozen mushrooms, or snacks, are still put to use. They're ground down, further dried, or processed into mushroom powder, a concentrated ingredient used in soups, sauces, and seasoning blends. And that is the core message of this entire journey. Inside a button mushroom factory, nothing is truly thrown away. Everything is transformed. On the final conveyor belts, mushrooms move into packaging. Whether they're fresh, sliced, frozen, dried, or turned into snacks, each product follows its own strict requirements. Weight must be exact. The air inside the package must be controlled. Even a small deviation can affect quality by the time the product reaches the consumer. Packaging machines run non-stop, repeating the same precise motions. Packages are sealed, labels are applied, production dates, expiration dates, and traceability information are printed clearly. Each package now carries the entire journey behind it, even if the shopper never sees it. Once they leave the factory, mushrooms are no longer living organisms or raw ingredients. They become part of a global supply chain. Refrigerated trucks wait outside. Some products go straight to grocery stores. Others move through distribution centers, wholesalers, or overseas exports. From the factory floor, mushrooms can end up on a family dinner table, in a restaurant kitchen, or inside a snack bag grabbed quickly at a gas station. The next time you see mushrooms on a store shelf, you might remember this. Behind that simple package is a complex, precise system running non-stop. And if you'd like to keep exploring the hidden production systems behind everyday products, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next videos.